Hi, it's Valerie from Shalebrook Handcrafted Soap in Moser River, Nova Scotia. And today I'm going to show one way I rebatch soap. And there's many different reasons why you would want to rebatch. Maybe you forgot your super fat and your essential oil. Because this is an all-natural soap I'm rebatching today, and I neglected to put in my extra super fat and my essential oil. And this soap is a mulberry and fig soap. It has stewed mulberries and stewed figs in it, and it's beautiful. Just the plain batter actually is just incredible smelling. So I'm not putting a lot of essential oils in it. It's going to have a tiny bit of benzoin, Roman chamomile, and some sandalwood is what I'm going to put in the main batter. When you rebatch soap, how you rebatch it, in my opinion, will depend on how old that soap is. I just made this soap yesterday, and so it's fresh and it's still wet, if you want to call it like that, or moist. And so what I did with this soap, and I'm going to haul it up and show you, I have 2 glass bowls about this size, and I just cubed it, and that's what it looks like. And but if it's older, you might want to grate your soap. And sometimes I grate by hand. Sometimes I'll put it into my KitchenAid and grate it that way. So there's different ways to do it. And I'm not adding any extra liquid to these because they're very moist and they're going to melt really well. Of course, it depends on your formula, how things will go. It mightn't be identical to how my rebatch goes. Normally, I'll just take the soap I'm rebatching and grate it or cube it, depending on how old that is, and I'll melt it in the microwave, and then I'll put it in a warm crock pot until I decide, if I'm going to layer it or color it again, or what I'm doing with that soap. Sometimes, depending on the formula and that soap and which kind I'm making, I might make an extra 1 pound batch or 2 pound batch to go with it. And today, that's what I'm doing with this one. This was a 3 pound batch, and I am going to make a new 1 pound batch to go with it, and I'm going to color that with different botanicals. Like I'm going to mix together Chinese rhubarb powder and pink clay, cocoa powder in another glass, chamomile powder in another, and orange peel, pumpkin powder, sea buckthorn powder in another cup. And then once I have this mulberry fig melted, I'm going to take about a couple cups out of that, and I'm going to mix some cocoa powder with it. And I'm going to do a marble effect with that, and then I'm going to do what's called a pour and stop design. And I'll actually show you that when I'm doing it. If I was going to be doing an older soap, say it's a couple weeks old or a month old, let's say it's a month old, and I grate it, so that would be a lot drier. And I would probably add a tablespoon of water to that. I would grate it up, I would put it in a glass bowl, I would mix a tablespoon of water with it, and I'd microwave it. And I usually microwave, this won't take long. I used to grate up and put it in a crock pot, but that takes a long time. With the microwave, it's extremely fast. You can do a 3 pound batch in a very short period of time, even depending on how hard that is. I used to grate the soap and mix it with a couple tablespoons of water and leave it overnight. That actually will help. Even doing it in the microwave, that will help. Doing it in the crock pot, it definitely helps. So the microwave, for me personally, is very useful for rebatching soap. So what I'm going to do today is I'm not going to keep you on the video camera the whole time I'm melting this soap, but what I'm going to do is I've showed it to you what it looks like, and I have 2 of those glass bowls like that, and I will melt those, and I have my crock pot here, and that's all warm. And what I'll do is, once it's melted in the glass bowl from the microwave, I'm going to put it into the crock pot until it's all done. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to make a 1 pound soap in a glass bowl. and so that I can have them basically all around the same time that I'm doing it. And I will bring you back periodically during that time, and I'll show you where I'm at in that stage, and I'll tell you as much as I can remember about how I did it so that you can use it if you decide to. Okay, so I think that's about it, and I'll tell you more as we go along. Thank you. So I just wanted to show you what stage I'm at now. This would be the first bunch of Rebatched I did. And that was actually, if you can see the color in there, that's the color that it was in the beginning from the figs and the mulberries actually. Calendula, chamomile, and marshmallow root tea was used in that as well. And so it's been about 6 minutes, and what I did was I put it on 3 minutes at power level 8, took it out, stirred it, put it back in at 3 minutes, power level 8, and then 1 more minute. And I sprayed the top with some water so it just wouldn't dry out on top. So that's where we're at with the first batch, and I'm going to right now pour that into here. And I don't want to get in your way, but maybe you can see that coming out. So that's all going to go in there, and then I'm going to cover that over with some plastic. And my 1 pound soap is just sitting there waiting for yogurt and sodium lactate and honey and things like that. And I'm just going to spray the top of that with some water in the crock pot and put plastic wrap on it. And then I'm going to go and do the other bowl of the Rebatch soap. And I'll bring you back. Just a second, I just wanted to, did you shut that off? No. Okay. I didn't know if my husband had shut that off or not. So I'm just going to spray it. It's just a fine mist spray. And I'm going to cover it over with plastic wrap to keep it moist. Try not to get it on the electric part. And I'll go do the other bunch and then I'll come back. So I just wanted to show you the second batch that I'm rebatching in the microwave of those 2 bowls. And I wanted to show you what it looked like. So can you see that good there, Brian? Okay, thanks, hon. So you'll see that it's melted all on the outside and a bit on the top and on the bottom. So for me personally, what I like to do is stir that up. Because I find for me that this will melt faster. And then what I'm going to do with this, before I put it back in the microwave for another 3 minutes. And like I said, how dry your soap is, how old it is, will all be a factor in how long it takes to do. But personally, I've never had it that I had to do anything in the microwave for over 7 minutes. Anyway, I'm just going to spray the top of that. Just helps with keeping the soap from drying out and getting little dry pieces. And I'm going to put that back in for another 3 minutes. And I'll bring you back and show you when it's all done. Hello, we're back. And that was about 5 minutes and 30 seconds to microwave that last container of Rebatch soap I was doing. And I gotta say that the figs and mulberry stewed and in soap gives it an awesome smell. So I have the Rebatch ready, and I have the new 1 pound. This was a 3 pound and a 1 pound. And my husband wasn't sure if I had mentioned this, but my crock pot was on warm. So while I'm melting, my crock pot is on warm. I dump the melted soap in the warm crock pot and cover it with plastic wrap. Then I do some more and put it in. And having a fine mist spray bottle, I think is just an added bonus, because you can spray the top of that and make sure it doesn't dry out. You don't want your Rebatch soap to dry out if you can help it. So what I'm going to do right now is I have all my colors ready. So I have cocoa, I have chamomile powder, I have pink clay and Chinese rhubarb, and then I have sea buckthorn, carrot powder, and orange peel powder. So I'm going to divide the 1 pound up into 4 with those 4 colors. And I'm also going to take about 2½ cups out of here and add some cocoa to it, put it back in and marble it. Then I'm going to bring my 4-pound mold over, and I'm going to show you how I do the pour and stop for this. The other thing I wanted to tell you was you want to make sure that all your containers, your tinsels, your spoons, and everything are heated and warm, because that truly helps to make it, you don't get dry spots on it, and it keeps the batter hotter, and everything just goes smoother. The other thing I have in here is there's quite a bit of honey, and I have lanolin in this, and lanolin just adds a real silky, beautiful texture to soap as well, and it's great for leather. So this is about the second or third time I think I've made this soap. And it's actually one of my favorite soaps. It's just beautiful for the skin. So I'm going to just get to work and start to divvy up this batter. And I'm going to get my hot spoon out of the hot water that I have here. So I have a frying pan on the stove that I have scalding hot water in, and you can see how beautiful that is. When it's an older soap, you definitely might not get it this smooth. You might have to add some water to it. Now I know the batter looks dark, but it definitely will lighten up, as you saw in the beginning how light that was. So that's something else to remember as well. Then I just cover that over. Well, I'm going to add some cocoa to this. I'm going to save some cocoa for my other one. So this is just mixed with some water and a tiny bit of glycerin. Now I can see why I had an extra spoon. Couldn't figure out why I had an extra spoon there, but it was for this one. All I want to do is just add like a marbling effect before I put it in, make it a little bit darker. Let's give that a spray. I think that will make a nice little... Okay, so then what I'll do with this, just plop it here and there. And then I'm just going to just swirl that through there so that it makes like some darker streaks through that batter. And once again, I'm just going to spray that top. And I don't know how this is going to turn out. That's pretty thick, that Rebatch one. Plastic down on that, and then I'm going to divvy up this one. Thank you. Just set my colors back there. I get this water dumped out. So always keep the spoons hot and the cups hot. So I'm going to try to pour this out even. Can you see that in there? Can you see that? That's pretty pourable. This was done high temperature, hot process. So in this 1 pound I have sweet orange and some Roman chamomile and some sandalwood. Has a lovely light smell. I don't want it to be too overpowering. And in the big batch I have Roman chamomile, sandalwood. Roman chamomile, sandalwood. I don't know, some orange. I'll have to look at the formula. Oh, my husband's just asking me if I want him to help stir. Can you pass me the plastic to cover them? So I'm going to get him to do that too. And I'm not sure how this is actually going to pour, because this 1 pound, I never expected it to be that loose, the batter that loose, but it sure is loose. So in this one is that rhubarb and pink clay. Should give it a sort of a dark, I'm hoping a dark burgundy color maybe. The orange powder and sea buckthorn powder, I don't know if you can see that, that's pretty. And chamomile will turn almost like a greenish color. You can't see it, but you'll see it in the cut hopefully. But the orange and carrot and sea buckthorn, I don't think that's going to give too much of a color, but those powders are really good. I like using sea buckthorn. Thank you. I don't even really think I needed to cover those because they're so, wow, they are really loose. Usually my batters are just manageable. Some are pretty good like that. I did save all the coconut milk, which was 3 ounces from the 1 pound batch, for after the cook, so maybe that went to help too, probably. So what I'm going to do now is get ready to do the pour and stop. And what I do with the pour and stop, I have a big bowl, and it's like doing the Clyde slide kind of. There's many different ways you can do this. I just call this the pour and stop. And so that bowl's been heated up as well. And what I'm going to do is I'll put some of this in. And hopefully that marble, you'll see it better how it's marbled when it's all dried. And I think then what I'll do is I'll do some what's that, chamomile? Do some of this. I think I'll just take all the plastic off of those. Boy, is that ever running. So basically what you're doing here is you're just layering all of those. And I tell you, I'm not sure what this is going to look like because the Rebatch is pretty thick and the 1 pound is extremely loose. Fantastic soap for your skin. That's the main thing. Mess that up a bit. going to give that a bit of spray. One thing you can do too, if you want, you can always add a bit of water to your Rebatch soap, depending on what kind of design you want to do. Does this ever smell wonderful? I don't think I'm going to save any of that for the top because I'm going to cut this in a different way. So I'm not too worried about the design on the top. Oh no. That was a great fluid soap, that was. Yummy. Whoops. Okay, a bit of soap went on the floor there. We'll pick it up after. Okay, and now we're going to get ready to pour this. Not sure how that's going to pour. So I think my husband might hold that for me just on the end. Hopefully you can see that. I'm just going to go check the camera to see if you can see it. Yeah, I think you can see that. So it's just tilted a bit. Make sure I don't tramp in that soap. And I'm just going to make sure that this will pour a bit better. Well, here we go. Can you tilt it down just a bit? Okay, thank you. So I'm just going to pour that and let it run down. Tip it down some, honey, please. Thank you. And stop. Okay. And you can lay it down, I think. Well, it kind of looks pretty barfy, but I think it will be fine. Hopefully the colors will show up in this. Okay, I'm just going to bang that down a bit before it gets too full and goes everywhere. Wow, does it ever smell wonderful? What I'm going to do with this is finish putting this stuff on top if I can. And I'll bring you back when I go to cut it. And I'll show you pictures of it as well. So that's one way to do a rebatch. And you don't, when you're doing a rebatch, I don't always make another soap to mix with it. It just depends on what my soap is like. And I have rebatched one soap 3 times. Never more. 3 times I rebatched a soap. So there's many different reasons why. You don't like the smell of it. You don't like the look of it. I think the first one I rebatched 3 times was a soap that had amyris essential oil in it, and I just couldn't get rid of the ashtray smell. But I finally did, and I ended up selling it, and it was fine. So thank you for joining me, and thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. I just wanted to do a real quick, short video about this Rebatch soap, because there was one thing I forgot to tell you guys that can happen is when you're rebatching a soap and you're adding a brand new batter to the soap, like I did with this one, the brand new batter is possibly going to be quite loose compared to the rebatch batter, which happened in this case. And it has happened to me before, but I forgot to mention this. And you have to take that into consideration of the design that you're doing. Because what happened here was that thick batter pushed aside the loose batter, and it didn't marble throughout the soap like it normally would have. What I could have done and should have done was to take some of that thick batter and mix it in with the new batter so they were similar textures. Then color it and then do the pour and stop. But I didn't, so I wanted to show you, and you'll see it. I think I posted a picture of what it looks like on the outside compared to the inside. And I'm going to walk up slowly to the camera, and I'll show you the front and the back of a couple of the soaps of what would happen if you did that. Putting a new, looser batter with a thicker rebatch batter. Okay, so my husband says to walk up slow. Is this slow enough? Okay, so basically that's the inside of one. You can see some of the marblings of the new soap took. This is another one. How's that look, hon? Now, I want to show you what it looks like on the outside. So that thick batter actually pushed the new batter more to the outside, which makes sense because it was a thicker batter. So before I posted the video, because I forgot to say that, I wanted to say that when you're rebatching, and you're going to add a 1 pound, 2 pound, however much more batter to the thick rebatch batter, it would really help if you took some of the thick batter and mingled it in with the new soap, and that way you would have more of even textures that they would stick together and they would design better for you. And if I had done that this time, there would have been more of a marbling effect in the bars. I'm happy with them because the soap is fabulous. But so that's my little spiel that I'm just going to pop in there. And so learn from my mistakes and go on to the pictures, I think is what comes next. Thank you.